I left the industry briefly, got into tech, and then kind of came back in the industry on the side of construction tech. And I think it helped inform my perspective of kind of breaking the idea that you're a project engineer, then you're a PM, then you're a VP, then maybe you stay that for a while and you retire. Like I think that was, at least from my perspective, the path, and it broadened my understanding of that. When you were in the industry, maybe even just early on the residential side, um, did you feel? I guess was there an expectation of what you think that would what that would lead to, and maybe how that would shift?
To be honest, no. No, there really wasn't. I never had that. Um, I never envisioned that kind of path. I did, I tried going to school twice, many years apart after graduating high school, but I just enjoyed being in the field. I just enjoyed building so much that and every opportunity kind of just led me to a different path. There was never one true path, and I still think that's true today. Like I don't know where, the things I'm working on right now, I don't know where they're going to go, and as a man of faith, I just have trust. And so whatever the next opportunity is going to be, or whatever is going to happen with these things, will drive my next decision. I just have never been one of those. You know what though? On the same token, because I just had a big long speech with the dev team yesterday, is you always have to have a target, but that doesn't mean it has to be.
100%.
My in life goal is not my work. My in life goal target is my family and my faith and things like that. So, but again, I'm not trying to deviate from the fact that yes, you need to have targets, you need to follow the rules and things like that. If that makes sense.
I think it does. I mean, one of the reasons I left industry was because I was dating my now wife, knew I wanted to start a family, and knew that my lifestyle of changing new states every 2 years wasn't going to work with the kind of family man I wanted to be. And so I think that makes absolute sense. Um, now that you look, you're in a spot now where you consult for multiple companies. You're working on JobWalks now. Um, do you have any conversations with folks still in the field attempting to kind of broaden their horizons of what is possible?
Yes, actually. So when um, I came to Jabberwocky as part owner, which that's the first time for me having an actual stake, in something, and it makes a difference. Going back and probably, I think I talked to you about this the other day too, was utilizing all of my past relationships. Many in the past, I've gone back as far as 40 years to talk to people about the app that I'm working on. Totally different than anything I've done before in that sense. Lars knows and stuff. I call him for stuff when I'm doing something new, and I'll run it by him. But again, I guess utilizing those past relationships, um, and I'm not using them to sell something. I'm using them to help me understand the path that I'm going on. How does this sound? I trust every single person that I've talked to, and I think that makes a huge difference. Having that, I actually put everybody in a CRM, and everybody that I've talked to about it to make sure that I'm catching the right people and stuff. And it's amazing when I look at how long that list is. And they're all people I could call right now, and talk about not just my app, but anything, fishing, you know, whatever. I don't know if
The
I
good
What
answered your
stuff.
CRM
question
do
or
you
not.
use?
The good stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Do you use a specific tool, or what do you use to manage all of those contacts?
So currently, that changes too. You have to be in order with the house you're in, and if you're working for a contractor that uses XYZ, use XYZ. You can always try to introduce ABC, right? And see how that goes. But you have to be in order with the house that you're in, no matter what that company is. Um, so now, because I don't really have a company, so to speak, where we're using something specifically, I tried ClickUp, and its versatility, because I have so many different spaces in it that I can use one for CRM, and I can use this for DevOps, and I can use this for that, and so on and so on. And it's really amazing. I'm not trying to give them high five, but I'm giving them a high five because it's amazing. So that's what I'm using for that. It's not your typical CRM. It's definitely not like Salesforce or anything else like that, but it's really working for me.
How many contractors use a ClickUp, Asana, Monday.com, one of those more agnostic PM operational tools? I mean, Mark, you're working with multiple companies. How many of them do you see using something like that?
I have yet that anybody's disclosed to me know of
Yeah,
anybody using Monday or any of those.
yeah.
It's still the big boy. It's still the HubSpots, and it's still the which when you
Are
get to a
contractors
certain,
using HubSpot?
it's a shock. I know it is.
Seriously?
Yes.
Wow.
Well, I mean, it's whatever you need. I think also whatever that tool fits. That's something I talked to Stephen about the other day. Every piece of software to me is just it's a tool. It's no
100%.
different than a hammer that I had in the
That's
day.
right. In
I
your tool
still have
belt.
my drywall hammer in my tool shed. Um, so,
Who made that one, by the way?
oh, Vaughn,
Because you are. That's a good hammer. Because you're ancient. You know that, Mark.
I know that hammer, and it lasted. It made it through
See,
my
here we
house.
Consult
go.
our
We got
guests,
him
Made it.
going. We
of
got him
It
monologuing.
made it through my house fire too, and I still, which I
Dude,
was really
That's
happy. That
awesome.
thing
impressive.
is probably, I probably bought that in the mid '90s,
There you go.
and it's
Wow.
pounded a ton of drywall nails.
That's good. That's
This
good.
is a
So,
good product placement for Vaughn Hammers and ClickUp. We'll
Yeah.
put links in the show notes.
there we
Yeah.
go.
I think this is one of the reasons why I take all the opportunities I can to pitch this idea of B2C technology. I think there needs to be more B2C technologies built,
Yes.
and I use a program called Clay to manage my
Clay's
contacts.
amazing.
Yeah, and I put notes when I'm meeting with people. It reminds me of people's birthdays, and I just think it's important that people, because you build something out in an organization's kind of workflow, and if you leave that company, you lose everything, right?
Hmm.
And so I think as we come to this age of AI enabling a lot of different things, let's use AI to enable and level up the individual. But
100%.
yeah, I think that's important.
That's one of the things too in the program. I don't want to keep saying their name, but in ClickUp is that they have the AI brain built in. And when
Yep.
I don't know how to do something or I need to cross reference from one space to the next or whatever, it's right there and it
Yep.
knows me, and it
Yep.
really helps. Really
Yep.
enjoy it.
When you look at, we've had a number of folks on the podcast, Mark, just talking about the role mentorship played in their kind of evolution in their career. How did it play a role? And if it did, what were the indicators, or how did you put yourself in a position to be mentored?
Well, I think the mentorship that I had for me was some of the companies that I work for. Just very blessed to work with some great companies. A lot of them were smaller GCs, and that was really fun because there was a lot of quick decisions. Whereas some of the other companies I work for, it's a plethora of divisions to go through to get a decision made and whatnot. But as for me being a mentor, when I started back in the early days of Smart Bid, marketing came up with a cool idea. It was like, "Hey, Mark, everybody loves you. Let's do a little video thing on you." And at that time, I was like, "No, I don't want to do anything like that." But I did, and it was a blast. It was called the Bid Coach. Anyways, it was just at first it started out as just a little 1 minute spiel as a mentor, just the problem, the solution, and then I would try to make a joke or something. And I was always the happy bidding kind of thing. But that kind of that grew, and because I realized people were listening to me, and I don't have an ego at all. Lars has known me for almost 20 years now, I guess, and I
Yeah.
don't have an ego. So I've always tried to
That's
humble
true.
myself, but at the same time, I geek out on not just the tech, but just being around construction and being around listening to those guys. And if anything that I've done in my past can help them be better at what they're doing, then I definitely want to do that. So I've always tried to maintain that sort of structure with myself. Did
So
that
is that
answer the
kind of the
question?
thesis for getting it does
Okay.
was that the thesis for kind of getting involved in kind of quote unquote product evangelism? Because that's a different take on maybe some variety of marketing, but it's a more authentic and helpful thread.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was kind of interesting. So, I mean, evangelism is spreading good news, right? And when I was at a large company, I don't know how we're supposed to handle that on these, but large company, and I was there from the sale. I went with SmartBid as the sale, went with there, but they didn't know what to do with me. I was the director of support, and that wasn't going to work there because they already had their culture and whatnot. So I was in sales enablement for quite a while, and I was teaching all the people internally, which was fun for a short time. I missed the construction guys. I missed, helping them and whatnot. So sitting down at my desk one day, I made up this whole role, and I didn't know the term had already existed. The whole product evangelist thing existed a little bit, but I just wrote up a whole job description of, hey, I could go out because I can talk to a supplier, a subcontractor, a GC, an owner. I have no problem, and I have enough experience to do that. And so I said, hey, we have 9 products. I can go out and talk to any of these people at anything. Let me be the spokesman. And I didn't like the word spokesman. It just didn't sound right. So I came up with the product evangelist. I sent it to the VP thinking I'm never going to hear back from that, at all. And anyways, long story short, it worked out well. And I did that for a couple years. And then COVID hit. And that kind of strangled it a bit because I couldn't get out and see people. I was going to a lot of different events and whatnot. Um, so yeah, that's just how it evolved. I just one day I thought, I'm just gonna ask, and everything led up to it.
That's cool. And how much of your approach in that role interfaces with kind of traditional marketing, maybe at that role you're describing?
So I've always marketing is super super important, and sometimes they get a bad rap until the sales rep.
And
Um,
I'm
but
part of that problem. I give them a bad rap. We often I
yeah,
rag on marketing quite a bit on this podcast, so
well,
I'm part of the problem.
I think that marketing it's the bait and the hook. They're the lure, and they
Yeah,
have to be good at that. They have to understand who they're pitching to and how they're pitching to and whatnot. Um, but I think it as the evangelist job. Um, I was trying to make sure that I was telling them, hey, but this is what we can't do. And of course, I was the one that would tell the clients or prospective clients, no matter where I was, even before I was a product evangelist. I did the same thing with SmartBid. It's like, nope, it's not going to do that. But here's what you can do, or whatever. And we were, I think we were pretty decent about that at the time with the marketing. We had a phenomenal marketing person, and we maintained integrity and honesty. It's like we're not going to say it's going to do this and this and this. We were not so concerned, honestly, uh, with pitching that. In fact, if I hear the word game changer one more time, I think I'm going to throw up. So, when in fact it may change your game, but at the same time, telling them, why don't you tell them what it does for their job? And if I hear, what's the other one? Saves time, saves money. Okay, but what does it do for me? Everybody says that. What are you going to do for me? How can you handle my pain? How can you handle my problems? How can you make my day really easier? Show me, tell
Yeah,
me.
yeah. That's what connects with builders right there.
yeah,
And the evangelist part of me would tell them, and it will not do
This.
this or this or this or this, you
yeah.
know.
I was burned so many. I think Mark, that's one thing that drew me to you was always how honest and transparent you were, as well as like coaching. Especially in the early days when I was doing everything, you know, almost 20 years ago, it was like I could call Mark, and you'd answer the question. You'd help me right there in that moment, and you never again said it could do something and couldn't. And I think, and I'll give Smart Big credit. Like they never manipulated, right? And I was burned so many times as a contractor. Oh, software can do this, and then it's like, wait a minute, the
Hmm.
sales guy said it could do this. It's not doing it. Like, this is garbage. This is one of the reasons I bought it. That's a
And
challenge.
there was a culture there. You're right at the time, and we all were on that same page. The
Yeah,
integrity was extremely high.
very important. Yeah,
And
yeah,
from sales, from marketing to sales
yeah,
to we built a world class customer support and experience team.
yeah,
So
Yeah, I mean, there's something to understanding your audience, right? And this is an industry and a vertical that has some cultural elements to it, and one of
hmm
those elements is you do what you say.
you have to.
You don't really over market yourself, and I came from Whiting Turner, and we spent near to zero money on marketing, and none of us were allowed to talk to anyone about, like, from a PR standpoint.
right.
And that's kind of maybe an extreme, but I appreciate the ethos of our value is look
hmm
at what we built, look at the
Yeah,
experience we created for our
yeah,
customers. Go
yeah.
ask them.
It's in
Yeah,
the product. Go look at
right.
it.
You know, and that reminds me too of um, when we got to a point. I don't know when it was when we reached the first 100 or the first 300. I don't remember, but there was a point where we built an advisory board back in the smart
Yeah,
bid days. And what I've seen across all of the companies I've worked with, they normally go after the VPs and the big, the names, the big check writers and stuff like that. And I was adamant. No, we want real contractors on our advisory board, and that's I pushed
Hmm.
for. Lars was on the advisory board, and
yeah,
we had several other guys, Seth Cheever and
yeah,
people like that that
yeah.
were they're in this. They
They
do it.
they were in the muck, right? They weren't on the
hmm
30th floor, overlooking, the bay. It was they're in the field. They're getting their hands dirty. They're dealing with everything.
and kudos to those guys too. I mean,
No, you need
you
both
know,
perspectives.
yeah,
You
you
need
need both
both perspectives.
perspectives, and we did. I thought we had a good mix of that. So.
Yeah, it's good.
So what's your message to the construction tech company that just brought in some money, and like, to their marketing department, like, what would you say to them?
Consider, they're all going to say, what's the persona? What's the message we're predict or we're pushing? What's the pain? What's the need? And so on and so on. But I would say get out and really talk to your customers
Yeah.
first before you build that big campaign. And again, they're important. We know that. But before you build it, um, with flashy whatever it is, the terminology or colors or videos or whatever, really talk to your people and find out what are the real pains, what do they like about what you're doing or what you're trying to do, and then build it around that. I would really like to see more of that, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, it seems so simple, but doing appropriate discovery, with your customer base to understand where is the value being created is important.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like iterative discovery, right? While the product's launched, next phase. What's the feedback loop? And doing it in such a way that it doesn't become irrelevant by the time it's released because of how long it can take to sometimes get feedback rather than just get it out there and get the feedback from just using it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think maybe even understanding that because of the history in the industry of some of that, we'll call it maybe false marketing.
Yeah, the early
That
days.
part
Yeah.
of Yeah, like that part of the operator's brains is kind of like numb to it, right? Like,
Dude, we have
I had
our shields up.
some.
Our
Yeah,
shields are up. We
absolutely.
got a spear in hand. Like, get away from me. I don't want to hear it.
That's
Stop.
right.
Yeah,
That's right.
and
Yeah.
you combine that with tech saturation at the project level, and you combine that with a lot of these websites. You can scroll through the whole page and still not really understand what they're doing. Um, if that traditional playbook doesn't work, so go in a different direction. Like you said, Mark, talk to the people, talk to the customers, and yeah, I think there's a. It seems so simple, but I think it's almost revolutionary at this point.
And I mean, if you look at a lot of the tools that are, well, it seems like most of the conversation is on acquisition and mergers and funding and whatnot. When I go on LinkedIn, I'm like, I just want to talk real construction. And again, that's necessary. I'm not downplaying that. I'm not trying to say it's not necessary, but at the same time, it's is getting more what is it, down to earth brass tacks about what are we really trying to do. You made me think of I remember, I'll say the late 90s when I was a superintendent, and I remember the first time I saw a laser for we did lasers for sewer work and stuff like that. We had lasers, but I saw a laser with the acoustical ceiling guy, and all the guys are laughing at him. Like, and it was delicate. He was, it took him time to set it up and all this other stuff. And I was like, how much did that cost? I don't remember. It was some huge amount. But he showed me, I thought, oh yeah, that's kind of cool. And now you just see those thrown in the back of a pickup truck like they're just it's another tool. So again, that's the thing with these. I think everybody needs to realize, I don't care who it is, what company it is that touting, if it's an all-in-one or it's whatever tool it is, project management tool, whatever, it's or software. It to me, I don't even use the word software anymore. It's a tool. And if you come from construction at all, and hopefully you've spent at least a day in the field of some degree, and you've ever had to use a tool, you had to learn how to use it. You don't grab a hammer from the back end and you don't choke it, all that stuff. It's no different really than software. And when I was with SmartBid, that was one thing that I really loved doing. I would get guys back then that are my age now that didn't want to learn software, and they were adamant because the company had forced them to learn SmartBid. And I'm like, dude, we're not replacing your process. We're enhancing what you already know.
Yeah.
We're just taking what
It's
you know and making
it's
it easier for you.
it's so funny because I mean we hear that so often around this like almost like defense, like it's an excuse, like stay away from me, rather than looking at it as a force multiplier, like no, my life gets better, my life gets easier, I'm better at my job. I There's all these like, can you learn a new trick, can you learn a new skill, right? And I think I and I've even found, as I've gotten older, right, Mark? It's like, oh no, I'm good. I'm good. No, it's like, wait, that's the wrong mindset. I have to do this. I got to go learn vibe coding. Why? Because it's fun. My kids are going to be doing this. I want to know this. If it makes my life, easier day to day, this is good.
You've heard me say this before. I'm skeptical of AI that doesn't make the person better, not the company, not the process, the person. That's why Trunk Tools keeps coming up in my conversations. They're building AI that's human centric, designed to strip away the busy work and let experienced builders like you do what they're actually good at. And here's the thing that gets me: the average worker takes about 5.5 hours a week just looking for project data. That's a full day every week lost to digging through files and folders. So Trunk Tools is tackling that head on. Check the link in the description to learn more.
Mark, maybe, as someone who has swung hammers, but also has spent time on the tech side, what do you think made you maybe open up to kind of the change that, or even the opportunity that tech offered? Like, were you embracing technology kind of throughout your construction career, which made you more open to joining kind of a smart bid?
Well, like I said, when I came into the office as a project engineer, and that was my introduction to computers. And at that
Yeah.
time, we were just using them to send out invitations to bid. We were printing them. I'll put it that way, printing them, and then but I could build a bid list, and it would print them all out, and then I'd have to walk over to the fax machine and fax each one. Where I came up with this brilliant idea of like, hey, why don't we print one invitation to bid? And I put a group on the fax machine, and I push it once and walk away. And then that was
I'll put a Wikipedia link in for a fax machine for those listeners who may not be aware.
But at the time, that was like brilliant. It saved me hours. So, but then right after that, I moved to right after the .com crash, I moved to Silicon Valley. You're around tech. I mean, we did some of the big decommissions, 3Com and some other really big, huge companies. And I got introduced to even more. That's where a lot of the startups came from. Buzzsaw was there, and
Yeah,
I can't remember the other plan room that was there at the time. And I was like, the company I was with, I was saying, look, I'm not going to go to the printer and print plans anymore. I'm going to
We
order
don't
them
have to
online.
do it anymore. Yeah, we don't have to do that anymore.
And then, it's funny too. Then I worked for a national retail contractor, and I was using it was Plan Express, They used to deliver, I don't know if they still do, deliver plans overnight all over the place. And we started using them instead of getting the local reprographer to print everything up that we had to bundle and package every day. We did it that way. Then I talked to Plant Express. I said, hey, so because they were integrated with FedEx, I said, well, you've already got all these people in your system. Could we just do like a quick where I could send somebody build me a list? So they built the first. It wasn't an invitation to bid platform so much, where I already knew that these people had said they were going to bid on it, and I would just check them off, and it would email them the plans, and I could see whether they got them or not, and all that stuff. So I don't know. Where I was going
Mark,
with
that
this,
kind of sounds like the first invitation to bid platform. I'm just going to say that, okay?
oh, so no, I don't think so. Yeah, I think that there was I Square Foot was around already at that
Yeah.
time, and so CIN was too, I think. Yeah.
I mean, it's
But
funny you mentioned reprographics. Like, if I think about my first project as a PE, I would say like at least 25% of my role was interfacing with the reprographics company, like emailing back and forth on needs, making changes, going to pick up all the paper, and then like distributing the paper. Like, and that was not so long ago. That was like 2008, 2009, no, 2010.
yeah.
So I think it is that kind of like, I guess the industry has evolved quite a bit, and we don't really think about it as much.
There's still that. I haven't had it in a while, but there's still that. I love the smell of a big, fresh set of plans.
We need to
So,
make that into a candle for Mark.
but yeah.
I like that. So you're now at JobWalks, which I think
Mhm.
nailed it on the name. Like, I think what a cool name.
One of the best names ever.
Yeah,
JobWalks.
so good.
It's the best.
It's cool, and it also kind of explains what it does. Do you want to kind of talk through like what it's trying to solve for?
Sure. By the way, I did not coin the name. That came from the CEO. So what we're trying to solve is something nobody talks about, and a lot of people. It's gotten so buried that people don't even realize that it's a problem. Um, Maybe I can just tell the quick story of how this even
Yeah,
got
do
to
it.
me. Okay, okay. So the CEO, Tim Kennedy, he's a president for a large decorative concrete company, XRQ, and he is a geek, big AI geek, and everything else. And he built himself this little app. By the way, I didn't mention he was a client of mine years ago. I used to do takeoffs for him all the time. And he does these projects all over North America, and it was like he'd get to a project and it wasn't ready, even though the superintendent said it was ready. It wasn't ready. Imagine that. So what he would do is he would beg and plead people or pay people to go visit the site before he sent a crew from Ohio to Nebraska or whatever, and the job's not ready. So he built his own little app in Google, kind of doing it. Anyways, when he showed it to me, I had just ended a stint, and I was kind of freelancing again and not sure what to do. And he told me about this thing. He had just built like almost an MVP for it out of that. And I said, "Oh my gosh, I had to go through the same thing when I was for a large national retail contractor. I would beg and plead, and I would pay subcontractors or whoever I could to go visit a site in Boise or whatever because I couldn't be
Mm-hmm.
there. Sometimes
Mm-hmm.
it was just taking a picture. I just need a picture. I
Mm-hmm.
just need to see what it looks like or whatever, or I needed more detailed stuff. What we're trying to do is that same kind of thing still happens. Where you've got to send I don't know, you're a concrete guy and you've got to send somebody out to the job site to verify, are the forms full of water? There's no superintendent there at this time, and we've got a truck that's supposed to come at 7 o'clock this morning or tomorrow morning, and it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I need somebody to go out there, and we've done those. And again, there's all sorts of different job walks, right? There's pre-bids,
Yeah.
pre-installation, post-bids, warranty, whatever. So you can put it in whatever category it fits. But I realized when he was talking to me, I'm like, oh my gosh, this this is phenomenal. Now there are other programs out there that I could bend and twist to kind of do this. We don't want to do that. We also want to bring the knowledge and bring this to the surface. What job walks are actually for, what they're doing. I think after enough people are using it, we'll also get to learn what are the best practices, of course, that you can that you can mandate upon your company, but also in the industry. I've looked high and low, and I can't find stats on JobWalks because it's just like, well, yeah, it's just something you do with the job. But tell me this. So, Lars, if you had a job in Houston right now, and you know my experience, and you're just like, Mark, I can't. I'll give you, $500 if you'll drive down to Houston, and I need you give me a list of things you need, whatever media, whatever you need. Would you do that?
100%. I'll tell you who to sign in as, and this is the email, this is the phone number, and I've done it before. That's the thing.
Absolutely, and that's the thing and that's what we're trying to do. So we're trying to go down that road, but at the same time, it's not just about becoming the next best thing. It's something everybody's already doing. We just want to make it easier for everybody. And like if you send me a list of qualifications that I need to do, and you got the baby boomers going out of the industry right now, you've got a large. Go ahead.
No, well, so that's what I was going to say is how are you finding the qualified people that say if I've got a job in Huntsville, Alabama, that I'm like, man, I'm in San Diego, how do I go get the right person there? How have you guys solved for that?
So it's an evolution, just like any other application, especially when there's not a lot to compare it to, which is fun at the same time, is we have a very unique proprietary AI interviewer that interviews the person. We call them walkies. They're the ones that walk the job. And we have an AI interviewer, and we're improving that all the time. And then we're also gamifying the walkie side. So you see more reviews, more information on that specific walkie. You can choose whether to use them or not. You can pick from whoever you want to use that's applied for that job walk, which we call a walk order.
I think it's fantastic. A lot of times we just use friends or family, in the area, or God forbid we took someone from another job close enough and shipped them over there, But again, disruptive.
But now, if you had using this, and it sounds like I'm just pitching the app, but I guess kind of am. I'm just pitching the process. It's still a process. Like if you send somebody out, the idea is eventually with enough best practices and becoming the leader in the industry on knowing best practices for these, you could set yourself best practices, and you could literally at some point for specific things, you could send out just about anybody to do a job walk. Now, I'm not saying, don't take that wrong. I'm not saying, I'm going to send out a concrete guy to go look at an electrician's job walk or whatever.
But I think you're talking about building a knowledge layer,
yes,
in a way that just hasn't been captured yet, and putting some focus on if you can craft some structure around something that has been so highly variable, then you can open up that opportunity to a larger group of people, create some employment opportunities for folks that maybe are on the backside of their career but want to stay engaged but not full time. Like I think it's actually the timing of it is very interesting because of you mentioned the boomers or some of the folks that are retiring out of the industry. I'd imagine they want to stay involved in some capacity, and we've in a previous episode talked to someone from Ellis Don who kind of gave back in the form of a formal kind of mentorship role. And I think this is a different version of that, right? Which is you have expertise. How can you, one, offer that back in terms of value, but also create some mentorship opportunities with the folks you're interacting with. So I do like that. And you've already pitched Von Hammers and ClickUp, so you have some opportunities to pitch your own product that you have some equity in. What do you think are like the pathways to reaching that next generation, or that group of people that will serve as walkies? Is, speaking of marketing, has there been any methods that you guys have employed to reach that audience, reach that group of people?
I'm trying not excuse me, sorry. I'm trying not to go down typical paths that I think everybody adheres to. A lot of this is going from the gut. I've tried some very grassroots approaches, donuts and kolaches in front of a Ace Hardware store.
I think I'd be there.
And although and speaking at events, obviously social media, trying to be clever with that. But when you're on I'm going to use a term from my smart bid days, James Benham days, that we're bootstrapping. When you're
Yeah.
bootstrapping something, you have to be very uh, innovative,
Yeah.
if that's the right term. And so we're always
Scrappy,
trying
Mark. Scrappy.
scrappy. We're always trying different things, and it's one of those things. It's kind of like uh, a dating app where you have the guys and the girls, but if it's a brand new app or not, it hasn't been around for a while, and it's like, there's not a lot of guys on there. I'm going to wait. The girl might say that, or the girl, opposite. So, but at the same time, it's just getting in front of the right people, and also we with the internal job walk options, it's a good fit for GC anyways. They can walk their own people too. So
Yeah, Tinder for construction might not be the angle you want to take,
Or
but
maybe it is because they'll get someone's attention.
maybe.
And if these guys
Yeah.
are bored and retired, you never know what they're clicking on.
well, I think the mentorship that's one of the things I'm really passionate about too, Stephen. I don't have any authority in it. I don't have any real specific knowledge on how to approach that in the sense of where I want to reach out to the boomers and veterans and different types of organizations that I can reach out to and say, hey, here's opportunities, not just for them to work, but to release that knowledge before it's
Yeah.
gone. And we imagine the mentorship building with that as well.
I mean, you and I have had one conversation, and my takeaway was like, "Wow, that guy's a wealth of knowledge, and I'd love to learn some things from him." I guess in that category, though, how well are you digitizing your own brain? Like, have you thought about how you can capture? Like, what's the digital twin of Mark Fly? How's that working out?
So funny you mentioned that. So, like I mentioned, the CEO is he's an AI geek. I'll put it that way. And so he's getting me to geek out more. I'm actually taking a lot of my information, and I've been toying with Notebook LM, and I just threw some stuff in there about me and started saying, "Wow, I know more than I thought I did." But at the same time, it's still humbling, Stephen. So I'm just trying to be me, but I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Hmm. So Lars, when Mark and I were talking before this, I mentioned the concept of building out kind of if we think about what the future of maybe employment is going to look like in this kind of age of AI, if each of us were to kind of lean into building a digital version of ourselves and kind of building a base model of our knowledge set, is there an employment future where we are employed but licensing that information or access to that model or database to a variety of different companies? And I think there's a possibility of that. I mean, the tech stack exists for this to happen. It just comes down to, can you create the right incentive structures to enable that kind of outcome? But what do you think? Would you hire my digital twin, Lars?
Well, I
It's
actually
very
there's
valuable.
a
What's the
there's a
scope of
use.
work, Stephen?
Podcasts.
Duh, I'm here.
Go ahead,
I,
Mark.
I know I know of a use case on that. I don't know that I can say the names of it, but it was an industry leader who had wrote many books on a specific trade, and they took all of his books and put all of that content in, and then they synthesized his voice. And so you can basically ask this gentleman any question about that trade, and you'll get the right answer, and it's in his voice, which I think is really, really cool.
That's the
So
powerful
yeah,
thing.
I think that definitely should be some sort of licensed, and you should be monetized for that for sure.
Yeah, I believe there's a future for that, Stephen.
Yeah, and I think part of what needs to happen, because I've had a number of superintendents who I'm still connected with, and they're kind of on the backside of their careers. And I've advised each of them, record every interaction you have on site, every meeting, every site interaction, record that, and use those transcripts to feed a model. Because I think it's hard to intentionally kind of go through all the categories of knowledge that is embedded in one's brain. And so, I could imagine there being some kind of opportunity in white space around the gamification of knowledge capture. So, like walking through CSI divisions and saying, "Hey, here's a scenario in concrete, and whatever's happening, how would you respond?" And you respond, and then it maybe flashes some confetti on the screen or something. But yeah, I mean, I think we need something like that has to exist in the next 5 years for us to kind of get through what's coming.
I think you just you nailed it, because I think that's with the knowledge leaving the field, capturing that now for over the next 5 years is crucial. And some of it's going to be in the sense that, or the manner that you just mentioned, and then a lot of it's still going to be on a personal level. And so, but it's important.
So one thing we like to do is kind of give advice to the next generation in the form of kind of talking to your maybe past self. So if you go back and kind of talk to Mark at 27, you're either a PE or maybe you're a newly minted superintendent, with what you know now and where technology is heading and AI and all this stuff, what's the advice you would hand off to that young version of yourself?
27. I was a professional musician, so I probably would have told myself, put the guitar away.
Down.
And
Killing
because
it.
I was moonlighting and focus on construction.
Oh man,
But
what
no,
was your genre? What were you singing?
oh, country. It was all that was during the big country boom.
I love
So
that. I can
yeah,
hear it. You've got a voice for country music.
I'll send
Do you
you a
have
link.
a?
I still have all my demos and stuff. I'll
Do
send
you
it to you.
really?
Yeah.
Do you want to sing a little bit
No.
right now on
Don't
the
do that.
podcast?
Don't do that, Steve. He's not warmed up.
All right. So
No, but
27. Yeah.
I think I would tell myself to probably pay attention more to opportunities. I was very blessed to have the opportunities that I did, but I never think about the ones that I didn't see. And I don't worry about it. It's not like that. But I mean, what could I have sped up some processes? Could I have done something if I'd have been paying attention a little bit more?
Hmm.
And then my desire after I got out of the music and just focused on my trades, um, I think that having a path, I didn't really, and we talked about that earlier. I didn't really have a path set out, and I would advise myself, if I could go back, say, at least have a path. It can be short term, but have a path. What's your
Hmm.
plan? What do you see in 5 years? And I probably would have said, I don't know, I don't care. But at the same time, I would still try to talk myself into that and say, hey, have a path. Just have some goal.
I love that. Yeah. That's good. Lars, any final thoughts?
Mark, I appreciate you, man, as a friend, and it's great to have you on here, buddy. And I'm
Me
excited what
too.
you're working on. So yeah, I
Thanks.
mean, I remember those early days being on video call, or not even video calls. It was just watching
Skype.
your videos, but then yes, and then Skype,
Satellite.
and then again, you're just a servant. So appreciate you, buddy.
Thanks. I appreciate that too. This has been fun.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's just such a need for more folks like you who have kind of scaled the spectrum of the industry. You understand how to put work in place, but you also understand the opportunities of technology,
Mm.
and you're using that history to inform the next generation of what's going to be built and how it's going to be used. And so I'm appreciative that you're in our industry. So thanks, Mark.
You're welcome. I do want to mention one more thing.
Mm.
Sorry if I'm going over it, if I can.
No,
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 no, go.
keep
So,
going.
one of the things, I had the opportunity to teach a class. I live right next to Texas A&M. I got an opportunity to teach a class on. I don't remember what the class was, but I got a chance to pitch some stuff about my industry. And I was telling all these students, I think it was either estimating class or something, and I said, get in the field. Any opportunity you get. If you need to go sweep floors for a construction company, if you need to go pick up trash on a job site, get in the field no matter how you can. And I still emphasize, I still talk to students at church all the time. I tell them the same thing. No matter what you're trying to be, if you want to be an engineer and you have this VP plan and everything, get in the field, even if it's part time, even if it's just for fun. But that's. I
Love
wish
it.
I'd have done
Love it.
that more too during the early
That's
days.
pretty much the number one feedback that guests give us is they either wish they would have spent more time in the field or they wish they would have started in the field. And I think you're 100% right. And it's the advice I give to my boys, right? I've got 3 boys aged 2 through 8, and I think especially in this age of technology, like understanding base skills and then layering on top of that with some of these opportunities that AI will provide, that you can do whatever you want.
It's never too late.
Yeah.
It's never too late. If you're a chief estimator and you've never really been in the field, that's probably not a good example. But whatever the case is, get out there and go see, even if you can, go see what your work is actually in place. What those things you saw on paper is actually being built and put together right in front of you, and go look at it. So,
Yeah,
Love it.
spot on.
sorry, I'm going over.
No, that was great. Thanks, Mark.
Thanks, you guys.